So now it is his fault that he brought it here. If anyone would take my advice, not just listen to my advice, people hear me because sometimes my advice is so graphic that they have to repeat it to their friends in shock. They're like, I can't believe Ed Dill said. So that's how I get past, information-wise, what I say, person to person. They go social media, I go no shock value, because it's an extreme circumstance. It's an extreme situation. What are you talking about, man? People are out of your mind. Out of your goddamn minds. Well, let's check with another bureaucrat. These guys were lost. They were completely lost up there. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have any answers. You got the absent-minded professor. He's delighted to be here. Delighted. Shut up with the delighted. It's about death and disease, you stupid a-hole. Jesus H. Christ almighty, everybody needs to feel like they're doing something fun. There's nothing fun about this. Stop making fun. We're delighted. I'll give you delighted. How about a cattle prod up your ass? Huh? That scorches out your goddamn colon. Are you delighted for that too? You worthless piece of crap. Jesus H. Christ. A big shoe boot in the ass. A big Doc Martens $169 boot in the ass.
Was pregnant at the time. When they were attempting to take her into care there in Liberia, we're being told in another outlet, and I don't know, CNN may have its own information, that he may have thought that perhaps it wasn't Ebola related. I think that does potentially point to a problem with the surveillance screening itself. It's asking specifically about Ebola. It should be asking about, have you had contact with anyone with Ebola-like symptoms? Describe those symptoms in black and white. Then that can be followed up on by someone who knows what they're doing in the airport.
I would love to give the benefit of the doubt as well, but just reading our own reporting from a community member with whom he was living in this town outside of Monrovia, saying not only was he living with, but taking care of this person who was suffering from Ebola. Quickly, Dr. Gupta, you've been standing by. You were also in West Africa a couple of months ago. My question to you is this, and we've been hearing, from Louise, this partner who Anderson Cooper talked to earlier today, who was staying with, sharing the same bed with this patient. Now, what happens to the sheets?
Good night. Put out the lights. I am so sick and tired of saving people from their own goddamn stupidity. I'm just not gonna. That's it. Over. Timeout. That's it. Halftime. Take the teams off the field. Not even helping a little. That's the one I want. It's the movement I'm starting. In the face of this promiscuous idea, everybody gets help. No matter what, there's help for. There is not help for that. Nope. Sorry. No help for that. Now you get nothing.
They'd have these fields where they'd set up these sort of rudimentary Ebola hospital areas.
Rudimentary?
When they were done in that particular area, it was scorched earth. They would just burn everything.
You want to tell me where goddamn Bill Gates is? Rudimentary. Son of a bitch has more money than God. Is any of it being put into, we love Africa? You don't love African anything. It's a goddamn big problem on that continent. Get the stuff over there. Oh, no, we just have to, the man at the airport just said no. I say yes, I said no. And then everybody dies. Did you have sex with anybody with Ebola? Oh, boy, not that I can remember. Jesus H. effing Mother of God, Easter Sunday, resurrected Christ. What does it take? I'll tell you what, you want to talk about racism? Here's your racism. It's classism. They're poor. Nobody gives a goddamn how many people die in Africa. You know it. I know it. This is what this means. If you can't see what it means, that's why you've tuned in here. You're watching us on the stream, ustream.com. You're watching us on YouTube right now. The YouTube is rolling. And you're hearing us live. Starcom Radio Network, AM/FM stations across the country, town by town, you asshole. Not New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Listen, I love those towns. I'm not lying. I love those towns. But I've been there, done that. Been there and done that. What's missing in America right now, there's no local anything. Local is like almost impossible. They want you to, well, go to Amazon. All right, it sounds good. Oh, it sounds trendy, doesn't it? Go to Amazon. And then you're buying from somebody in, God knows where. What if it is a country you don't even like? You start buying stuff out of Malaysia where they're shooting people and executing people under Sharia law, and they're losing airlines over here, and the other guy is still under investigation, but he's been underwater for a year. So you want to think about where you get stuff. You know that, and I know that. So where is it? So who's doing it? Not this. This is nonsense. This idea of dispersing to all over the globe. We cannot help everybody who's not cooperating. If you're not cooperating, then you don't get help. That's the limit. The limit is you cooperate with how the help comes. You start bitching and moaning and squealing like a pig, and then you get nothing. Then you wind up with this today. Ed Tyll Show live Monday through Friday. Now you say, well, boy, you're on all day. You don't know when I'm on, because I don't know what's going on with the news. Do you? I don't. I can't predict it. It's like riding a bucking bronco. When we're on top of the bronco, we're on. When the bronco throws us, well, we have to listen to what the bronco is saying. The bucking bronco. Remember that? Well, when I was a kid, that's how old I am. When I was a kid, the bucking bronco was the rite of passage. When you were like a teenage kid, you're supposed to ride a wild horse and not get thrown off.
Better watch out. The man has got to strip you bare.
Somehow, right after that, or during that period, was the rise of injuries to children. And they go, well, that's how they sort them out. Some kids are too soft. They can't ride that wild bucking bronco too soft. That's the problem. Everybody's soft now. This scientist today is not a great scientist. He's a douchebag. He's saying words like, I'm delighted to be here, while people are dying and the rest of the town is scared to death that they're going to get killed from this goddamn disease. Body fluids splashing, I'm not going to go into it, but it happens a lot. If you had to go splash free, think of what life you'd be leading. So now we got to keep them splash free on us. That's the cost number one. Every goddamn infected idiot.
Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll. Ed Tyll.
It's the Ed Tyll Show.
F you. F you. F you. Can we get the guy to say that? F you. Ed Tyll says F you. F you. Oh, wow. 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 Love it. Love it.
You never like what he has to say, but he's gonna say it anyway. Ed Tyll. Come on, everybody. Tyll Show. He's the baddest cat around. He got the sharpest tongue in this whole.
Hey, I want to apologize to the inventor of one of the great sleep apnea solutions in the world. In the world, Freddie. Worldwide. We're going to have Don Lewandowski. He's been on with us before. He's going to be back with us. But I do want to apologize that sometimes events overtake the newsroom. I mean, it's a blessing and it's a curse, You jump right in, and you do everything, and you wind up notifying no one. It's like James Bond. I mean, he never calls ahead. He just hopes it works out at the end. Our apologies to Don. We'll have him back on the show shortly, as soon as it's mutually convenient, and we look forward to it. He's a smart guy, clever guy, creative guy. We love having him on. Right now, we're all dying of Ebola, so get ready. Try to find a relative you have somewhere. I don't know where there's no Ebola exposure, but that's your job. Your job is take your Google, take your Samsung phone, whatever you got, your Note, your iPhone should have an answer. I'm sure your iPhone has an Ebola app, so you're probably okay, right? The phone costs $900. I'm sure there's an Ebola app in there. I mean, that's more than the gross domestic product of many of the villages where they have Ebola. Ebola itself has no money. It is kind of broke, kind of busted out, you know. Bill Gates, though, and Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and George W. and George H., they all love Africa. You ever see a bunch of rich white guys that love Africa as much as Clinton and Gates? They love Africa. Every time they turn around, they're Africa. Where's Bill Clinton? He's in Africa. What's Bill Clinton doing now? Well, you know, he's fixing Africa. Well, you know, how's it going with... Well, Bill Clinton's actually showing the interns how to perform fellatio in Africa. You go, that's the outrageously hilarious part of his show. The breaking news part is when he was yelling at the doctor, calling him a disgusting waste of human carbon. Yeah, that's right. So what? What, do you got a problem with this? Back off, babe. Ed Till Show, live, Monday through Friday. Say, well, what time of the day? Look, what do you want from me? It's there when it needs to be there. You have to pay attention. This is the new media. In the new media, I don't think you understand. It's all about the moments. It's not about all the boring stuff. We are there like triage. We come in, it's a crisis. If Bob Williams is not elected governor of Oklahoma at the end of all this, I don't know what's going to happen, because this guy is amazing. He's on every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, Eastern. He's on 6 o'clock local in Oklahoma. He's on in Callington at our KKRP, the flagship radio station of the entire Starcom radio network. He's up there with the chickens, and he's on, and he's, you know, giving him hell, Harry. He's like a Harry Truman kind of guy. He's less political and more grouchy, just basically grouchy about all the right stuff. He's like a news director. When I worked for Bob Kane.
It's the Ed Till Show. Ed Till Show.
I was a kid, and they came up with the Mariel boat lift one day. We're in the newsroom. I'm just sitting there. I'm 21, 22. And Bob Kane jumps up out of his desk. He knows every goddamn thing about this and the Cuban Missile Crisis. And my head was spinning, you know? So he's like, get on the... He starts handing me his Rolodex. I'm pulling out the card. Remember, you don't know what a Rolodex is, but years ago, there was a thing called a Rolodex, and you'd pull a card out, and then you'd use it, and then you stick it back in there for the next time. It was pretty durable cardboard. So he starts... This is 1979, 1980, early 80, late 79. He starts... pulling the things, this one, and he's stacking them up there, and it's a rotary phone. I mean, you got to put in a 1, and the thing is, it's not going at the speed. He is going at internet speed. Boom, boom, boom. He's putting these things on the desk, which is not a desk, really. It was a desk with a huge tape recorder on it, where I had like 2 square inches to write anything. It was a huge reel-to-reel tape recorder, 3-4 times the size of my upper body. Thing was monstrous, and you had to sit in front of it, probably getting, you know, all kinds of radiation out of it, but nonetheless, magnetic tape there, reel to reel, and you're just, you know, rolling on every phone call. Hi, this is Ed Till calling for WGBS in Miami. I think I'd say, who are you? I'd say, Bob Kane, or right away it'd be the who are you, you know, because they don't, who are you? I go, Bob Kane. Oh, Bob Kane, your news director. Yes, Bob Kane asked me to call. And, all right, well, get it down, son. They would tell me like that. Long before black guys used this term or whatever, it was get it down, son. And that meant write it down correctly. And I was like, yes, sir, because I had the tape rolling. That's what the tape was. That big monstrous tape recorder was tape recording all of my reporting. They were like, oh, my God, you're going to read Ed Till's handwriting later? Forget about it. You roll a tape. Let's hear what that guy told Ed Till. And then they take it and make it into a news clip. You put it on there. Earlier today, WGBS News spoke with, and that was me. I was WGBS News. No mention of your name, but I'm in the tape. You'd hear me go, exactly how many Cubans can you put in a raft? Yeah. The guy would say, these normally would hold 12 exiled refugees, you know, something, and yet there's 36 and they're jumping off and swimming. So it was a lot of this drama when you asked what was going on. And that was the news. The news was, and then you would say, you'd be talking to some Border Patrol guy, and he's got a rank that he's already told you. So you would say something like, thank you, Colonel, you know, and he would say, yes, Ed. And then your name now is in the news bite, and you call your parents, and you go, get my dad on the phone. I go, Dad, what are you doing? He goes, nothing, I'm watching Gunsmoke over here. Your mother's inside cooking. I said, well, look, turn off Gunsmoke. I said, go in the kitchen with Mom, turn on the radio. Why? What's on there? I don't want to listen to the Yankees. Your mother listens to... I said, no. I said, I'm on in the news. Oh. All right, hold on. Hey, your son. Yes, starts yelling like I'm... All of a sudden, I'm adopted. Your son's on the radio. So they put it on, and I'm on the phone, and the news rolls, and the guy says, yes, Ed, and by name Ed, rings out through the kitchen. Rings out. Ed, my mother dropped a spoon. Yeah, clank. My father goes, damn. And then right away, the guy continues with the news, and they're hanging on every word now. Now they're, whatever this guy is telling about the pollution in the river, they don't hear a word. All they're waiting now is for more of me. And the guy goes, thank you. And they hang up. And the guy turns and goes, and now it's time for the weather and Wall Street. They had Dave Siegel and they had this other guy doing the weather. And now my parents come back to the phone. And my mother goes, oh, Edward, that was great. I could tell that was your question because it seemed it was very... All right. Okay, Mom, let Dad have the phone. My dad would say, that's it? I go, what do you mean that's it? He goes, he didn't say your last name. He goes, nobody knows it's Ed Till. I said, Dad, it's the first time I got mentioned on the news. He goes, I don't care. He says, they don't know who you are now. I said, well, it takes time. You do this. I says, that's a lot of crap. He goes, you go in and tell that guy next time he's got to mention you when he comes. I said, you want me to go tell the news director? He goes, that's right. You go in there and you tell him to mention your name because he says, my dad becomes all of a sudden a news media critic. He goes, you left the audience hanging. They don't know who Ed is. I said, wow, he's got a point. Next day, I said, Bob, my dad is an avid listener, thinks you're the best news director in the history of time. He says he was surprised somebody fouled up in the newsroom. And he goes, what do you mean?
Come on, you know he's driving you crazy. Shut up. So pick up the freaking phone. It's the Ed Till Show.
Come on, everybody, it's you.
He says, I think somebody fouled up, and he goes, I'm so surprised it happened to Bob Kane. And he goes, what's he talking about? He says, well, he says, I did that soundbite. Yeah, he says, that was good. You got your first name mentioned. I bet your dad liked that. He goes, well, he says, it kind of left everybody hanging. Who's that? He goes, your old man's got a good point. I'll make a note. I said, look at this. This is the way it works. One big mouth over here I grew up with, and I'm working for a new big... And that's the thing. It was inevitable. It's unbelievable. I come out of a neighborhood. Everybody always tells you what they do. I just fixed that tire. I just patched that concrete. Because that's how you keep it moving, babe. Ed, why can't you just tell him he did a good news report? That's what my mom would say. My mom would say later, she goes, why can't you just tell him he did a good news report? Why do you always have to put something extra? He's got to learn, that's why. Oh, God. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare, right? It is. The whole thing is a nightmare. Let me put it all in perspective for you. You've been listening for days now. And earlier in the year, we had another dark period like this, right? Every day, the news sucks. They got into the White House. They got on the elevator with him. On the elevator. He says, well, that was the last straw. You think? You think it's the last straw, or you think you should take her out and have her executed? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's borderline treason what's going on with this guy. First you let somebody over the fence. That videotape is brutal. It's got to be the hottest videotape in the world, viral. Biggest, a guy sneaking across the White House, and he's got, from what you can see on the video, look at it for yourself, you're going to see at least 8 to 10 agents, and then dogs. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody's running around in circles. Even the guy on the roof, the expert said before, where was his grappling hook where he leaps off the roof and swings down and knocks the guy? I mean, you got to treat it like it's Fort Knox. It was horrible. They didn't know what to do. That's the horrible. There's the essence of what Barack Obama has done. with his amazing success in 2008, he's brought all of these issues, whether it's his home security system, whether it's Syria, I got a red line, I don't have a red line, whether it's the junior varsity or they're a major threat, there's no corruption in the IRS, and the NSA has to collect Angela Merkel's cell phone calls, even though she's angry and she runs Germany. What does this guy do right? Well, the economy is still slowly recovering. You know, if this thing, the economy, had recovered under him, I'm been around long enough, he'd be forgiven for all these other horribles and unforgivables, really. It would really be a mistake, but we're sentimental in this country to a fault. I mean, literally to a fault. We're sentimental. So we're going to go every time with, oh, geez, at least. But this bin Laden thing was how long ago? I mean, you can't keep living off I got bin Laden. It's over with bin Laden. We got new enemies. He's great. I mean, this is not easy. And his buddy, Chris Matthews, I mean, if there was ever a guy waiting to give the president a massage, it's Mr. President, it's Chris Matthews. Mr. President, it's Chris Matthews, Kesha, and Rihanna. They were all in for like a foursome, and then you could bring Michelle, you know. I mean, you guys, like, it's unbelievable. So even, thank you. So even the Chris Matthews,
The Ed Till
Chris
Show.
Matthews show,
He's Ed Till.
is saying you can't run a country the way he's trying to run it. You can't. You may want to. Here we go. We got calls coming in, baby. Oh, that was headquarters calling in there. Oh, headquarters. You know, I tried a new phone system last week. It was a disaster the size of the Titanic, the Lusitania. I don't know, pick your shipwrecks. The Edmund Fitzgerald. It was the perfect storm with George Clooney and John C. Reilly.
It's Ed Till.
I forgot he was in that. I know Marky Mark is in it.
Now that you tuned him in.
Ed Till Show, Starcom Radio Network. Did I give enough props? I should give more props to the network right there on the phone. There they are calling. They love my old number. My old phone number was great for everybody. And me, Ed Till, I'm always trying to move forward. I'm like one of those inchworms on the scale of Darwinian evolution. I'm just trying to inchworm forward. That's me. That's why I go into conflict with so many people.
It's Ed Till.
So here's my thing. When I feel it's done really well, I have to underscore it in every way possible and shed as much light as is possible and make as much noise as possible about it because it's good, in contrast to the nasty, self-serving, self-indulgent, superficial, vacuous, uninformed, contradictory, misleading, and inarticulate mainstream media. I mean, that's what they are. They're inarticulate. They don't even have the right words. They're just stabbing around in their ignorance as a substitute for reporting. So here comes Bob Williams, and he's got this thing going on last year when I get connected to him because he was interested in the show. And I was like, oh, it's cool. You know, a lot of folks, when they put the show on, I really don't know a lot about where it's played. I don't, I just basically say, you're interested? And they go, yeah. I go, what about your audience? And if it's the approximate age bracket, then we go with it. And that's 18 to 65. I mean, we have listeners and every college kids love to listen because we challenge conventional wisdom. We give them a way to look at it differently. And people in their 20s and 30s love to listen because you are lost in this country in your 20s and 30s. You don't know what to do. You're marrying the wrong people, having kids, and this and that, changing. It's a nightmare to be in your 20s and 30s. Finally, you settle into your 40s, and now you're in the age of acceptance of all the warts and scars and stupid things that you can't undo, but you can try to live with who you are. Then you get to your 50s and go, I can't believe that this is what it amounts to. I went through the discovery, I went through the acceptance, and now the big apex climate, it sucks. Something's got to be. And then you start all over again. And you go, I can't believe I'm doing this in my 50s and your 60s. Because today, you're not looking for the rocking chair. Nobody wants to sit in a lazy boy and watch Law and Order unless you're severely, drunk.
News and storylines talking about
or depressed. When you're drinking and you're depressed, nothing is better than Law and Order, man, because they kill somebody every hour for you, and then they get the killer. So between the two of them, you're like, all right, look, these people are way worse off than me.
My man Ed don't sit on.
And this guy's got to go somewhere. This Anthony Bourdain. What was the purpose of putting a food show on an all-news network on Sunday night? What are you, pretending we don't live in a 24-hour world? You got millions of people out in the street there in Hong Kong. What do you do, Anthony Bourdain? It makes me upset. Because we don't know enough about Ebola, but we have a budget for Anthony Bourdain? It's insane. So Bob Kane, oh boy, they all rhyme. Bob Kane would have never gone for this. My mentor, who was one of the greats when it came to the news, it was the real news. It wasn't this make-believe manufactured news. Douchebag is on now, CNN's Tapper. I got the world lead, the national lead. The lead is the lead, you idiot. There's one story's a lead. You can't have 8 leads. Douchebag. Yes, we can. It's the media. Whatever we say is true is true. It's a term of art. If we want to redefine it and redefine it and redefine it, and then what happens? Definitions are very important, just temporarily. You're an idiot. Moron. Bob Williams is you know what? I'm gonna start signing in to places as Bob Williams. When I want a reservation, I'm not going to say Ed Till anymore. Sometimes I call, I say reservation for Ed Till. They go, sorry, we're all booked up. I go, 5 days in advance? They go, well, not for nothing, but the cook hates you. You don't want to eat here. Boom. I go, the cook hates me. Yeah, your show's on every day. He puts you on, he yells at you, he screams at you. I said, but he puts it on every day. He goes, I don't know what kind of sick relationship he's having, but he swears he's going to poison you. I said, all right, I'm not coming. He goes, yeah, go right across the street. We have a very nice Italian restaurant as a neighbor. I said, yeah, no, thanks, I appreciate it. Don't say it too loud. The cook will hear where you're recommending. He'll kill me across the street.
And the hospital seemed oblivious to months of Ebola warnings. And how much of a race is it?
Here we go. See, do you hear him? This is what you're going to get now. There's one thing about Bob Williams, KKRP, the network, Starcom, the show, me, all day, every day, craziness. It's very nouveau. I don't really get it, but I kind of get it. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Wake up, Freddie. You get it. Life does not come down the pike in an even flow. Ask Pearl Jam. It's not an even flow, is it? There's events, and then there's reaction to the event, and then there's the attempt to resettle at a new equilibrium, right? The elements keep flowing out of the stars. You get it. History of the planet in 2 hours is talking about this, so you know how it is. Life is not even flow, Pearl Jam. It's not. It doesn't go even flow. It goes boom, 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 boom. Even the things you like to dance to, music, all this great music we played yesterday. Do you believe how lucky we are as an audience, as a whatever, in this world of crap, in this world of every 15 songs is the same 15 songs on every radio station. Every time you tune in here, first of all, you hear my repertoire, the Ed Till bongos. Ouch. You got it? So you hear that. But you hear did you hear that band BrokenLive.com yesterday? Damn. Busting my ass to get to that second song. I can't wait till they put out another song for us. Oh, it was magical. It was like my first year in the studio. Some of these guys, when you have them featured on the show, and I get very excited about these artists because they're young and they're exciting and the music, and some of them go nuts with, oh my God, no one's ever paid attention to us like that before. No one's ever sent it. Some of them are like that. Some of them, are the kids that never want to talk to anyone about anything. These kids when they're little, they're sitting at dinner and like everybody else is chattering. You finally come to Billy and you go, hey, Billy, so what'd you do today? And Billy's like, well, tell us something. What was school like? And, all right, well, what was the ride to school like? And no matter what you say, is it Billy? Do you know about the New York Giants? Mm-hmm. And nothing. You can't get anything going there. That, it turns out sometimes to be a very successful artist because they're bottling it all up. There's nothing coming out on your side, and you go, wow, it's all on the other side of the Wayback Machine in there. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know how it looks to them, how warped, how exaggerated, how disordered would it look to me, and perfectly ordered. I mean, who knows what kind of chaos the guy said. The guy said chaos, right? So we serve a genuine purpose there, and Bob is the kickoff every day with upfront and outspoken, a cutting edge, leading edge, controversial. It's kind of like Nightline, but he cracks the whip. That's what I like. I like that Bob, once a week he has a ranting day. And, I'm sure he eats well the day before. He trains for it. I'm sure he goes into training the day before. Because he's merciless. I mean, it's like an Uzi. Just sprayed over a parking lot of bad guys. Picture all the bad guys, ISIS, in the same parking lot. Imagine they're going to go see Cat Stevens, right? He's Islamic, right? Cat Stevens, the peace train guy. Turns out he's Islamic. And all of the ISIS guys are going to go see Cat Stevens. Let's pretend that Cat Stevens, for a second, is working for the CIA. And he's like, dude, I speak Islam. Okay, listen, why don't you have a concert? Invite a discount for if you've killed any Americans or Jews. And then all these guys that have killed Americans and Jews are bragging about who they've killed and where they killed them. And then Cat Stevens, at the last minute, cuts out the back of the auditorium, and some drone comes over, plays the Ed Till theme song once, and then bombs the place because it was my idea. That's all. I just want a tip of the hat. I don't really want to be involved. But if they would just play He's Ed Till, and then boom, drop the bomb on the stadium, and then Cat Stevens would really be on the peace train, wouldn't he? Because I like Cat Stevens. I couldn't understand why he would get hooked up with these 9/11 guys, but he did, and then he's back. He's back now. Now I guess he's a capitalist at heart, because the albums were not given away for free during his Islamic period, which is a young Islamic girl's worst nightmare, huh? Have you ever worked in an office where the women have their friend a line? So now you have 4 women. You're surrounded by these eggs. These egg eyes are coming, and it looks just like the history of the planet Earth on History Channel. That reptile, that amphibian, is coming up. He's crawling up, right? He's coming up out of the water. He's crawling out of the ocean. And you say, well, what's driving him? You say, well, his eggs. He's trying to get his eggs. He's trying to move his eggs. You say, well, how do you know it's about the eggs? Well, he's leaving the water, but he's taking some salt water into his eggs, which is crazy, his eggs. But, they're asexual. The man is gonna strip you. They carry their own eggs. They screw themselves over. Listen. It's easy to see how humanity comes from that. I can see how I've descended from a species that has sex with itself. I got that. I've screwed myself many times, and believe me, there's no pleasurable sex to go with it. I just get screwed without the sex. I know.
But I guess there are some questions now about the family who are in the patient's apartment or in his girlfriend's apartment. Not only
there we go.
Does it not seem very dignified?
The Ebola girlfriend. That's it. Headline in the New York Post. It's the Ebola gal pal. Ebola gal pal. has been identified. CNN has identified a girlfriend now of Ebola Man. Ebola Man has a girlfriend. Okay. And what they do? Well, what do you think they did? I'm sure they had some fluid exchange. The kiss is a fluid exchange. No, keep your mind out of the gutter. I know who you are. Every college dorm just went, whoa, I don't believe it. I could be getting Ebola every night with my girlfriend. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You think you're getting nowhere with her, and that virus is getting somewhere. Ed Till Show, Starcom Radio Network. Bob Williams every morning. KKRP is the flagship radio station. He produces the morning show before we begin, full of fire and brimstone. I love his ranting days. Today might have been his rant day. I think his rant day is Thursday. I think it is. That's an old tradition in broadcasting. Is you do your big event on Thursday, because human behavior is it's the last normal morning. Friday morning is crazy because you're like, okay, we're leaving right after work. We're cutting out after work. You got your backpack and your fishing pole and your hunting rifle, and you got those duck decoys that look like your wife. I'm doing some duck hunting. Duck is the guy. Have you seen two fat guys in the woods? I mean, not have you seen ever two fat guys in your local woods? I mean, the show, Two Fat Guys in the Woods. It's a very interesting show. A surfer guy apparently knows all about survival. So you got a guy who looks like Patrick Swayze in the Point Break, and he's telling two fat guys how to eat whatever they find in the woods and survive. Comes the third day, they're starving. They've had no calories. They keep putting up on the screen how many calories they've had. Comes the third day, they're starving, and the guy says, what are we going to do? He goes, we're going to trap a duck. I said, trap a duck? He goes, we're going to trap a duck. I said, wow, all right, how do you do that? He got nothing. He goes, here we go. So he takes a string off a branch. He takes a branch and turns it into string. That's what he is. He's picking off branches and vines. He's tying them together. It takes an hour and a half. They tie up a thing that looks like a net. But it's a net that they have strung over a little body of water where they think a duck is going to come. So, sure enough, they're waiting, because now we just wait. 5 hours they're sitting there. An hour and a half to build it. 5 hours of sitting on your ass. 6.5 hours now. It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Finally, one goddamn duck comes up. And sure enough, comes right near the trap, and they snatch that duck alive. Boom. So right away, the PETA people are like, okay, the duck is alive. The duck is not dead. Well, 2 seconds later, they go, look, this is depressing. The one guy with the Patrick Swayze hairdo, he goes, it's a little bit tough, but you realize that we have to survive. And they take the duck by the neck and they snap it. Crack, crack. And that's it. The duck is dead. And the guy's like, I'm a little bit sad, but they bring that thing back. They bake it over a campfire. The guy says it's better than you would get at Elaine's in Manhattan or out in Los Angeles at Wolfgang Schmuck's house. You know about Wolfgang Schmuck? Yeah, he's the Jewish Wolfgang Puck. Wolfgang Schmuck. Wolfgang Puck is not Jewish. Wolfgang Schmuck is Jewish. Bob Williams every morning on KKRP on Starcom Radio Network. He starts at 6 a.m. Central, which, thank God, I live in the Eastern, where it starts at 7. Because at 6 o'clock, I'm not home. I'm still lost in some old lady's apartment complex last night. She's like, use this code to get out. So we're fooling around, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, I have to now take my medicine. And then she went into the bathroom for like a half an hour. And I'm like, what do I do? So now I got this code. So I'm walking around in a condo complex. I fell in the pool. I triggered the sprinklers. And then finally I get to the gate. It's a full gate. It's not like a toll booth gate. It's a gate. It's an iron gate. So I'm like, I don't see the thing to put I don't see anything. So I climb the gate. Halfway up the gate, I fall back in a puddle. I'm soaking wet. Now I don't have the 4 numbers. The 4 numbers are destroyed. My back is killing me. She comes out in her robe and says, I can't believe you're making a scene like this. And she walks up, opens the gate. The gate smashes.
He's driving you crazy. Shut up.
Gate smashes into me.
It's the Ed Till Show.
Come on, everybody. Gate smashes into me, and she looks like B. Arthur from the Golden Girls now in the light. Now I see what I've done. And one of her elderly, mammaries is hanging out there. She doesn't know. She's so old she can't even tell the air is hitting it. So she's just saying to me, I don't want to see you anymore. And I'm like, no offense, but in this light and with that one shrivelly, it's mutual, babe. I'm outie 5,000. I'm out. I'm outie 5,000 on that. Bob Williams, Every Morning, Starcom Radio Network. This guy is incredible. I don't know how he does it. He runs a network, 18 radio stations across America, AM, FM, across America. Every day he's got us on a new outlet and a new. I don't even know where we're on. We're on everywhere. Europe, Asia, Africa. And Mark Zuckerberg is, he's a good guy. He's trying to get Africa to internet. I'm like, why don't you get him some Ebola apps? You don't have an Ebola app? Wash your hands, wash yourself, don't rub on anybody, don't drool on anybody, how to keep your body fluids intact, how to protect your own body fluids by Facebook. What is with that? Where's the love? Nobody loves Africa when Africa has Ebola. You know when they love Africa? Oh, it's a new emerging market. I think we could make money there. Do you want to sell them Gatorade? Do you want to sell them polyester? If it's some cheap, nasty sales pitch, we love Africa. Oh, it's a great place because you can sell stuff. The minute Africa has one problem, well, I don't know. She's Ebola? No, not me, man. I can't. Hello, Bill Clinton Foundation, Ebola. Oh no, he's not in. It's not a person. Oh, who would you like to reach? Oh, well, this is the Clinton Foundation, sir, but I'm sorry, the president doesn't ever take any calls from anyone as lowly as yourself. What do you say? You have Ebola? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You don't have Ebola? You run a hospital in Dallas? Yeah, well, the president's in Africa right now. Yes, sir. That is quite ironic. Bob Williams? Yeah, he's here, sir. Let me, Bob Williams and his reporter, Harry Keaton. They're both in here. Alex Keaton, Harry Keaton, you better watch out. Somebody's covering something is what I know. I know one thing. It's taken way too long. That things have been uncovered, and now they're going to be covered once they're uncovered, if you could follow that. Once they've been discovered, then they've got to be covered, right? You uncover them so you can cover them. Chills coming in, yeah, chills you kick your ass, call you names, make you feel bad, they're gonna put you down, cause you a son of a bitch, you a low down, lying, backstabbing son of a bitch. Girls, trying to work in here. I know, it's a good song, but I gotta go. I got things going on,
Lamenting the 10-year at 240 and says over 10 years, you would do way better in stocks than you would in bonds, so I don't have any. Do you agree?
I do agree, but not just for that reason alone. Right now, investing is a global thing, and it's a relative thing. And right now, the dollar is king, and every other currency in the world are the king's subjects. I mean, look at Europe. They're struggling with deflation and lousy economies. Look at Japan. They've got a lousy economy, a falling currency, and a crazy fiscal policy. In China, they've got trust issues right now. In Russia, they've always had trust issues, and the emerging markets are suffering from these hot money flows in the currencies. So the U.S. dollar is seen as a safer place in this global turmoil. Our earnings are much better than the Treasury yields, as you mentioned. It's a good place not only for the long term, but even right now on a relative scale in the shorter term.
This is nothing new, right? It's just the Oracle saying it. I mean, this is the best house in a bad neighborhood discussion.
No, but I don't agree with him on one aspect of what he said. He basically is telling America not to buy bonds. And bonds are one asset. And he's talking about government bonds, and most people would agree getting less than 3% 10 years is crazy. But corporations have all kinds of yield instruments right up their balance sheets, including stuff that Warren Buffett buys when he bought the pref from Goldman when they were in trouble, etc.
Right.
So investors should realize that everything north of the common
That's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
Share, the senior debt,
Smart, man.
the LIBOR resets, all of these instruments get paid before the dividend that Warren's talking about.
Yep.
And in my portfolio, and I think in many Americans should also consider, buy up the balance sheet a little bit so you have less volatility.
This is the Ed Till Show.
The Starcom Radio Network.
Wrong message as far as I'm concerned.
Well, what, are you going to reset the whole conversation on what maybe you shouldn't have a diversified portfolio then?
No, you should. You should be diversified in equities and some...
Kevin O'Leary is known as Mr. Wonderful on that show, but he's a smart guy.
You became a part of the new breed. Been smoking only the best weed. Hanging out on the sofa.
The Ed Till Show, Starcom Radio Network is the new breed. We are the old guys doing it a new way. Why? Well, first of all, people want it. People want honesty. They don't want BS. They don't want a double talk. They want somebody calling it like it is, just having no team at all. No, I have no team loyalty. Red, blue, Republican, Democrat, I could care less. I don't care. I know they love it. They love to play this game. There are people who love that game. I hate that game. So I'm not in. I'm only in it for us. That's it. Period. You, me, your kid. If you are with all this whole fakakta, failed American family, you have my sympathy. But I don't really think it's going to work out for you. If you're walking around there with a single-parent household, one breadwinner in the house, I think it's going to fail. I think you're going to fail everybody involved. You're going to fail your kids. You're going to fail yourself. You're going to fail. It'll be a big mess. And, by the way, it weakens society and the country. Everybody else's chances are diminished because you drag it down. No character, no stick-to-itiveness, no commitment, no obligation, no ability to do anything complex. You're missing... It's a beautiful lesson that the universe teaches. Every time humanity has moved forward in evolution, or even lower forms of animals, the fish getting a spine, any of that stuff, it's because there's more oxygen, which allows us to be more complex. And for the first time, we're now acting dumber than we did the generation before. Decline. That's not America. America is not failing. The idea of America is not failing. There are now a lot of weak players on the team. America is a team sport. And by the way, it's not socialism. It's a team sport. Players go home at night. It's a team sport. But when you suck, you make the team weak, too. Not only are you a problem for yourself, you can't produce, you can't deliver, you can't make good, you're infecting everybody around you like the Ebola thing without bodily fluids. You know, at least Ebola, you have to have bodily fluids to pass it around. Laziness, lack of success, underperformance, yeah, that's even worse.
I'd like to know.
Monday through Friday, Ed Till Show, Starcom Radio Network. Every morning before us, Bob Williams at a KKRP with Upfront and Outspoken. See, now I'm dying to give my friend Eric a plug. I'm dying to plug him. But Eric, if you're listening, you know, a couple of times I've had a couple of surprise. I would look right like I don't know what's going on. So now I got to check. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I love Eric when he's with us in the early mornings. He used to be. I hope he's been back. We had a little production issue, to say the least. But it's an incredible variety of listening if you get him, and then you get Bob, and then you get this maniac warehouse. We're like a warehouse for maniacs all day. Ebola, ISIS, Derek Jeter, we're on every single one. We don't miss a thing. There's nothing here that we're not covering at any.
They reached that conclusion.
Yes,
because
that's my conclusion.
The recent and accumulating reports.
Let me tell you about my conclusions about you. Is that you don't know what's going on either.
The president to believe that.
The president this, the president my ass. You come out there like you don't even know what's going on.
These reports about the intruder have been out there for some time.
Josh, you don't seem very earnest.
Yesterday is this incident at the CDC where somebody was in the elevator, an armed person was in the elevator with the president who wasn't.
Not very earnest, Joshua. Josh Earnest. Ugh. It's horrible, this guy. With the hairpiece looks terrible. I'm telling you, if you're going to buy a hairpiece, buy one that looks better than that, Josh. Come on, my man. I think that thing moves. Do you have to feed your hairpiece lunch?
That song's gone funky.